Hey guys, we are dental students at Elements Community College.
I am Dani.
I'm Passion.
And I'm Kayla.
And together we
are the Baddie Bunch.
And today we're going to be showing you a step-by-step on how to sterilize instruments properly from the beginning to the end.
And showing you guys how to properly use the method to sterilize your instruments.
And keeping our area disinfected during and after the sterilization process. Before we start our sterilization process, we want to wear our PPE to ensure we stay protected as much as possible. When we transport contaminated instruments, we want to keep them stored in a plastic bin. Now we're going to wash our hands from 10 to 20 seconds. Make sure you scrub really good in between your fingers, on top and under your hands. Let's go ahead and dry our hands very well before we start putting our gloves on. After we wear our gloves, we're going to go ahead and take out our utility gloves since we are going to be handling contaminated instruments. Now let's take our contaminated instruments out of the plastic bin. We are going to put all hand pieces into the assista and make sure you screw them into these hoses very tightly. Since we put 2 hand pieces in the assista, we are going to press the number 2 and hit start to start the cycle. Now we're going to do our loose instruments, which go in the ultrasonic. We're going to open our lid and make sure there's plenty of water. We want to make sure that there's water under those 3 dotted lines. We are going to add more water if we need by using the sink hose. We are going to put our instruments inside and we want to run a cycle from 6 to 12 minutes and we're going to hit our timer button. Now we're going to put our cassettes in the hydrum. We're going to open our door and put our cassettes in there. We are going to start the regular cycle for the pre-wash. Make sure to lock the door by pressing on the lock button on the touchscreen. Now we're going to wipe down our plastic bin that we use to transport all of our contaminated instruments using a Cavicide wipe. We're going to wipe down on the inside, outside, and please do not forget to wipe down the lid. have wiped down the plastic bin, we're going to store it away for future use. We are now going to remove our utility gloves as well as our regular gloves to do a regular hand wash. This wash doesn't have to be a 20-second wash. Make sure you dry very well, and we are going to wear our regular gloves for the following step. We are now going to open our drawers under our counter and take out each pouch to put our instruments in. We are also going to take a Sharpie to label our pouches. It is very important to label our pouches on the plastic side and not on the paper side. We are going to put our initials, the date, and the sterilization device that we are going to use. Remember that all loose pieces and cassettes go in the autoclave and all hand pieces go in the Statum. Once we have labeled all of our pouches and before we put our instruments inside of them, we need to make sure we dry all of our instruments. In this case, the only instruments that needs to be dried are the loose instruments from the ultrasonic. Before we take them out, let's go ahead and put our utility gloves on. Let's remove the lid from the ultrasonic and shake very well the tray before taking it to the sink. We are now going to rinse our tray that has our loose instrument in it before placing it in the dryer. We're going to let our loose instrument dry, and once all of our instruments have ended their pre-wash oil cycle and the loose instruments have dried, we are now going to take out all of our instruments from the Assista, the hydrum, and the dryer, and we are going to start putting them inside of their corresponding pouch. Just because our instruments have been pre-washed in oil doesn't mean that they are sterile. We want to make sure that we are still wearing our utility gloves to do this process. Here we're checking for our indicator tabs, making sure that each bag has one of them. Now that our instruments are bagged, we can remove our utility gloves. Before we remove the glue strap in each pouch, remember to fold at the perforated line. Now that we have sealed all of our pouches, it's time to take them to their corresponding sterilized device. Here we're opening our autoclave door, checking that everything looks correctly, that our seal is perfectly where it belongs, and we're also checking for our water. It needs to be above the red line. If we need to add any more water, we can simply add more water by grabbing our water hose from the cabinet and adding more water. Now we're going to put our loose pieces and cassette in our tray, paper side up. Remember not to overstack any instruments on top of each other. Simply just grab another tray and put the remaining instruments there. To run the autoclave, we need to close the door properly and hit the pouch button and hit the start button to run the cycle. Now we're gonna put all of our hand pieces in the statum, but first we're gonna check for water. We're gonna take out our tray, open it, and put our hand pieces in there, paper side up as well. We are also not going to stack any instruments on top of each other. To run the statum, we are going to touch on the touchscreen on the purple button and hit start. This will start the beginning cycle. Once the machines are all running, let's go ahead and record our sterilization process in the data sheet. We're going to write down everything that we did, what machines we used, and what instruments we sterilized. Now it's time to wipe down all the surfaces that we touch with our contaminated hands. We're gonna wipe down using Cavicide wipes. Let's wipe off all counters, cabinets, doorknobs, books, pens that we touched during the sterilizing process. Now that our area has been disinfected, we are going to remove our gloves, wash our hands, and re-glove our hands with regular gloves for the next step. Once the autoclave and Statum have ran their cycle, we can remove the instruments from the devices. We're gonna open the autoclave door and we're gonna remove our bagged instruments and place them in the steriled area, which is on the cabinet next to the autoclave and Statum. Congratulations, we have now completed our sterilization process for our dental instruments. Weekly and monthly maintenance in our sterilization room is required. Biological monitoring refers to using these spores capsules to verify that the sterilization process is effectively killing microorganisms. This verification process needs to be done in both sterilization devices, the autoclave and the Statum. Every time we do a biological monitoring, we need to record it in the record book. Part of the daily maintenance is to also check for the water in all of our devices And part of the end of the day maintenance, it's to check that all of the water in our devices gets drained. We have now come to the end of this video. Thank you for watching.